You know, the way to enter into a story like this is through the eyes of the director, obviously. If he is passionate about the material, and he's a very passionate man and a very smart man, has a real vision for what this project is. And it's up to us in conversation and in unison with David to really understand what's in his mind and how we can participate in that vision in order to help make it work, or at least our part of the machine work. You know, the short answer is you put your faith and trust in a really well-intentioned director and be allowed to kind of gallivant and play, you know.
For me, in a way, that was really David's process. Mine was a process of real submission and trust in him as the visionary that he is. But you know, you could see with the way he was approaching the sets and the costumes that kind of like was cranked ever so slightly differently, you know. So there was a familiarity to the world, but also it kind of had a kind of slightly more modern composition to the way he was capturing this stuff and how we were able to move and talk. And there was a looseness to it that I was like, wow, this is awesome, you know. Particularly for me, in the way I was kind of talking, I was kind of throwing it away like I would in a very modern piece. I wasn't, you know, that's what I spoke to him about. I was like, how should we do this? How do I do it? And he's like, no, just kind of try and exist and bring as much truth to it as possible. And so I think a lot of story tales around this era, they focus on the clashing of swords or whatever that is, you know, but this is focusing on the more psychological journey aspects of the story. In a way, it's far more complex, and it really does more justice to the complexities of this poem and the kind of the questioning of fate and ambition and the chivalry code of the time. You know, particularly for me as a young actor, you know, I could draw a lot of parallels of my journey in this industry, and, you know, being ambitious and trying to balance my life and you know, the ego and masculinity, all of that stuff, you know, I could see all the threads in there.
Absolutely. I'm a great, and not just without a set and without costumes and makeup and hair and all, without excellent, you know, practitioners in that way. I think one of the reasons I even became an actor, there's clues of it in my childhood, that I just loved playing dress-ups, and that dress-ups were a necessary kind of ingredient to activate the imagination. And I still believe that to this day.
Every frame's a painting in this film. You look at it and it's just like, there was never a moment where I was, I didn't either have a great scene partner and, you know, Joel and all the rest of the team, or, you know, you're just in this costume and it makes you sit differently, stand differently. You know, a lot of this is about a young man romanticizing this nightly quest, and then all of a sudden very quickly realizing how brutal nature can be, and how humbling he gets humbled by it. You know, his ego at the start of the film is totally bashed from him very quickly. And I felt that. I was trembling, you know, on my horse. I was cold and wet and damp, and it was a physical process. And, you know, David's films really explore time in a beautiful way.